Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna forget that the camera's over here and I'm over there. But I'm just looking at the screen because there's nothing else to look at. So when I look at myself, it looks like I'm looking over there, you know. It's okay. I'm not a camera person, and this isn't a production piece. No, it's 4, 4 in the morning. I've been up for a little bit. I'm a little disparaged by the amount of energy it takes, respiratory energy, breathing, to do any little task. The smallest thing knocks me down. I just brushed my teeth, and because I had to put something in my system, some medication, and I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to get closer to the camera. There we go. Who cares how close it gets, right? And so I had some to take in some food, and the easiest thing was like wafer cookies, and to settle me down. And of course, I had to take a shower. I had to take a shower because well, I didn't quite make it to the bathroom tonight. From the chair to the bathroom. No, it was a little gaseous, so it kind of gassed out on me with all kinds of mess happens. Thank God for underwear. Yeah, I'm a little disparaged in the processes. My eyebrows are getting so thick you can see them from the profile. I need to trim them now. Never had such thick, bushy eyebrows before. But I never actually had curly hair before either, which is kind of an interesting process. So you think if I just took a shower, it'd all be laying down, but it just all curls up. It's very strange. I can't imagine if I grew it out. You know, like, what's it gonna look like? Big old mop. Big old mop on head, big old mop head, big old mop head. Good Lord. So today's the 20th. I was trying to think about the 20th yesterday, but I kept catching the 10-10-10 expression. It wasn't a 10-10-10. I'm sorry. It was a 10-9-10. 10-8 to the 9, creating the 10 upon the 10. Well, no, the 9 upon the 10. So let's see. The 10, I have to say it correctly. It's the end times spirit. That's it. 10, 8, 9. That's what it means. 10, 8, 9 represents end times spirit. 10, 8, 10, 8, 9 in the combination of each individual expression of the month, the year, and the day. Well, the month and the year. And then upon that 9, it presents itself upon the day. It's anything that stands with the spirit becomes itself. So yesterday was a 10. So there was an element of theft, element of thievery, an element of the end. And in the end, you know that Beatles song. That I swear that was the jam session. They didn't even intend to print that. That must be a later print, or I don't know. The more I listen to the Beatles, I realize how elemental it is, and not really making a whole lot of sense. Not really. How it became a phenomenon upon people is beyond me. I'm trying to put my feet up. I should get some water because it's an illusion of being thirsty. I dumped about four, uh, at least 12-ounce glasses um, of water yesterday. I took that much in. I had to. Um, so part of my processing is that I feel like I'm being left alone in this, totally left alone in this. I called hospice right after I went into this, what I call end of life symptoms, what I'm experiencing, but not like now, I'm alive. But the initial blast of that compound, which is mRNA, um, that got disrupted because of citric acid. And there's nothing in the world that's going to prevent me from believing that, being so saturated and no one paid attention to that. They don't know better. And Jeff warned me if I mentioned the name RNA, mRNA, that they're trained to shut down. That this is a high anxiety, taste, um, a mental capacity diminished person that doesn't know what they're talking about. And if I were to delve into who these people are that work in the healthcare industry, that believe such a thing and put up such a block and barrier as to what mRNA represents, aside from their old modalities that were always taught to their mothers and their mothers and their mothers, and then a few fathers, because it's all sorcery. It is sorcery. It's the practitioner that's stirring the pot versus the healer. There's a big difference. If you're a Puritan, you would recognize the difference. So, and it does come from the heart. It comes from the heart. So, in that heart space, if I was to dive into these people, I would find out they're the ones that are going to vote for Biden because of the funding that comes pouring through all the time. The reliability that they've been so afraid to lose. So afraid. And yet it came so close, and so many were threatened that could think beyond the box, that knew something was wrong with the clock, space and time. So I called hospice and they responded, and I realized it wasn't time. And this is all symptomatic. And I can't release until I do release, and then hospice can have me. And they have better drugs. And they do this on purpose. I don't really understand why. So they're going to put the person through an extreme measure of letting go of the medicine doctor, oncologist, oncology ward, stopping all the regimens, all the medications, and then being turned over to the Death Eaters. Yeah, and I realized that in some capacity, if they were to evaluate me, they would want to put me on a tracheotomy. They would want to trach me because the machine would be doing the breathing where I'm so labored by it, and then I would be able to get what healing through your modality. It's the congestion that's making me do this. Yeah, I'm congested. So I know the cancer's outside of the lung, not inside the lung. But the congestion is from the damage that I've done. And then now, of course, the radiation damage has to come out. Reabsorption is not an easy thing. And so another symptom that I'm experiencing now is hemorrhaging. I have a constant bloody nose. It doesn't run outside the nose. It can. I don't think there's any blood showing, but it's all blood. So my mucous membranes are bleeding. And when I lay back, of course, they drain. And that could be why I see granulation where I saw granulation in my stools. Now, since then, I've noticed that the stool, which is like granulation means like coffee grounds. So if you ever notice coffee grounds in your stool, you can be assured that you're digesting blood. It doesn't mean that there's if there was bleeding in the rectal or colorectal, you would see the blood in the stool, or it could be detected, through the stool sample. But in this situation, it's granulation, so it means it's being digested. So it's probably a drain of blood from the sinus cavity. So when I blow my nose after a shower or in the morning, it's like a big black red butterfly. So it's all mucous membrane and blood thick. So I'm trying to keep that clear. Moisture levels went up a little bit with our humidity because we finally had rain. Um, the first night of Tabernacles, it sprinkled. And I said to myself, then the testimony is done. My testimony is done. What more can I say? I can't publish. I can't publish a book. I can't write my memoirs. I can't dictate the beginning to the end or any of the keys that I want to give to Judah. They all have to be discovered. They have to be rediscovered. And I guess this is what's going to allow David to be more strong than he ever was. Like a gift. Yeah. How it gets out there, I don't know. YouTube. How else? I haven't used any other medium. No. Unless, of course, I recover from this, which I hope to do. Because so, anyways, hospice never called. They called, but I told them that I won't be needing them yet. So I want to sign up for the palliative care program. And a lady named Deshawn would be my agent, my go-to person, my contact, my nurse, whatever they want to call it, liaison. And apparently, I'm being told she's a very nice person, but I haven't received a phone call. It's just like, oh well, don't worry, just get around to him because he's doing good. No, I'm not doing good. Or maybe someone said, he seems like he's got it together, but I don't have it together. No. And I find myself not getting angry with Jeff, but disappointed. And then at the same time, I'm pleased that he's here because he's able to do some of the mundane things for me that are for joy. Mundane. Um, they're not the important things. My diet is important, of course, but right now it's so disrupted as to what I can choose. Everything's got to be so basic. There's no fun in no mayonnaise. There's no fun in no ketchup. There's no fun in no. My condiments are gone, and I can't use them anymore. Anything with citric acid, it's just over. So I don't know if it ever struck, it has ever struck a person. What can they eat after that? Good Lord. So I've had my bean burritos and my scrambled eggs and bacon in a burrito and my sandwich with just butter on the bread with a slice of meat and a slice of cheese. I can't have any veggies. Can't have any fruits. None of that. No juices. I can drink milk. Milk is tolerable. I'm tolerable to milk. It can be enjoyable, but it gets mucusy and it's a kind of difficult because it changes its flavor in your mouth afterwards. Lactose does that. I think that's what people are intolerant to it because it tastes bad. After it starts to ferment inside your own mouth. So there's a lot of teeth brushing to that. And do you remember when my teeth turned brown? I came out of the hospital twice and first time they were brown and then started getting them white again. And then I went back in the hospital and they turned brown again. Well, I asked the doctor many times, I asked everybody, why are my teeth turning brown? There must be someone else's teeth turning brown in the hospital. I didn't get I don't know what it is. So I thought it was the Listerine they were giving me because it was in a capsule that is sealed from sunlight. I thought, well, and sunlight gets on the teeth and browns your teeth, because they're just brown. I don't know if you can look back to that. Well, it finally dawned on me, and I don't know why my doctors can't, they cannot make connection to what they're giving, what they're receiving, and then, well, what they're just looking at because they're not receiving. It was the fentanyl. Yeah, as soon as I went into the hospital, they started applying fentanyl. Very, it's a painkiller, and it works better than all the rest, but they know it's so dangerous. But they act dumb. I mean, you literally have to ask them, "What is that you're giving me?" Oh, that's fentanyl. What? That street shit? No, it's not the same. It's this is good fentanyl. Okay, good fentanyl. Good mRNA versus bad mRNA. Well, ain't that the truth? When you hurt yourself and you injure a cell, the message goes out. That's the RNA. That's the father. And it has to do with death because it's pain. Okay? Yeah, yeah, it's a pain. Yeah. The message goes out to the other cells as a trauma warning to prepare themselves. And so, in this modality of creating such a thing, they utilized aborted fetuses through genetically modified mice. I say they, whoever AstraZeneca and all those other scientists and all those other people are, we could walk into any one of your labs and discover that you're modifying mice and that you've all been coveting the fetus as the stem cell. And for other purpose, of course, with spinal repairs, beautiful, uh, uh, how can you say it? I don't want to say the word beautiful yet. Incredible, wonderful, technologically advanced healing modalities, but at a cost. At a cost. It sounds like you're being accosted, right? At a cost. Sure, it does. And it's the addicts that's being accosted, right? At a cost. Yeah, I'm the addict. That's what they're so worried about. Why can't I have a Valium for Christ's sake? Old-fashioned drug. Get the grandma going. Grandma liked it. If my grandma liked it, how come I don't like it? I mean, seriously though, what difference does it make when a person's in distress? Just like there's transgenders. A man in a dress is a woman in distress. Distress. Yeah, how ridiculous. How ridiculous. And I went through the same motions of the potions of the Baphomet. It was all a very spiritual experience to split apart in the Baphomet experience. The Baphomet shows a flame on top of his head. Nah, it's not a flame, it's his tail. It's coming up over. It's his scorpion tail. Yeah. It's the eunuch. It had to awaken to itself to address both male and female in one. I don't have any tissue with me. I could pause. Okay. So hopefully this is running because the two computers aren't really talking to one another, right? That's why I'm having to use the camera differently. This laptop won't turn its screen on. Just plugged it in and everything works, but I can't see what it does. So I moved all the functioning to this screen. Password. blah, 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 go to channel. And so I'm able to utilize my camera from this vantage point. But there you are. And I don't mean to ignore you at all. So this is Ron Haskell. And I'm sorry to introduce myself, but I get a little sidetracked. And I assume that everybody's watching me from this point, knows who I am. The son of perdition in the flesh. That's my predominant life. Um, to be mistaken as a gardener, well, not anymore. You should see my garden. This has been a year of no garden, and I've allowed the desert to take over the yard. Well, I didn't. The great spirit in the sky did. Yeah, because it's at La Nina, we've had no rain. So when I mentioned that we finally, on the first night of Tabernacles, we got a sprinkle, and I knew that testimony must have ended. And truly, there's only one way that the Lamb can appear as if crucified. Well, to me, it's Las Cruces. It's Las Cruces, and it's why I have 7 eyes on my body. I have 7 moles that have plagued me my life that I turned into tattoos for some inspiration and made them stars. And so there's 7 stars over 7 churches. And I never knew any of this. I wasn't raised in a church. Now, my grandmother showed up in 77, grandmother, grandfather. My mother's parents showed up. We were army brats, so we moved around and we've met them twice before. They're so much fun as kids. And they came to live with us, but they really came to die. And my grandfather didn't last very long. And then my grandmother was within a year. Yeah, so by 77, my grandfather died. Same time he moved. Yeah, why am I mentioning that? No, I don't know why I'm mentioning that. Why am I mentioning that? I guess it's heritage. She really touched me. Her name was Anne Milne, and she's related directly to the Scottish Milnes. She was been on the Queen Mary when she was a little girl. And so she told me, she said it stunk like hell. That's all she could say. I had no idea when you get on a boat and it stinks like hell. So that was my first introduction to that the Queen Mary stunk like hell. She was the one that told me about homosexuals. She said they were men that would kiss one another in the parks. Just terrible. I couldn't understand why. 2 men kissing would be a terrible thing. But she didn't quite explain it right. No. She was from Boston, Massachusetts. And so as a result, I'm a Milne stone. Yeah, I'm but a stone from that Milne. Yeah. And she married Charles Haskell, who happened to be 11th generation, and my mother's 12th generation, and then I'm 13th, so I carry through my mother's line my American heritage, which is appropriate. The mother, the woman. My mother, she died in shame, and I imagine that she died in fear. And I'm just not that kind of person. I never was that kind of person. And anybody that's ever known me knows that I'm not that kind of person. And even though violence can exist in all people, and who doesn't like to throw a good hammer when you're so friggin' pissed? But you overcome these things, and then you realize how much it wrecks you when you wreck that which you create. or that which you love. And that's the Creator's message. If we knew of him, but we're confused, we're misled, we're given a great delusion, and all the world was deceived. When it was Lucifer all along, the bright and the morning, because they're brothers, and one coveted his own brother's creation. And that's why we're being held. Yeah, we're being kept in a will for a child to discover. It's not like the child knows. How would he? No, no, it's given unto him through his inheritance. Does Lucifer know what Gabriel did? Bring forth seed upon a woman, the seed of David upon the seed of the bright and morning star? It sounds like one star, doesn't it? Where's the and? Why is there an and there? Why does he have to be two distinguishing factors? Why must it be bright and morning? Because there's other brights, and he needs a title as the morning? No, O Lucifer, how art thou fallen? Lightning. You see, that's the prodigal son. And the S-U-N is the S-O-N. And the apostate is the apostle. And Rome is Rome, and Caesar is Caesar. When you give unto Caesar that which is Caesar, and we keep what belongs to us here in America, tradition. Corporations have moved in and they're not American. And now our people have arms and legs sticking out of the ground in the mud, in the muck. Hundreds and thousands of them, unaccounted for, rotting, with vultures flying overhead. And the government's sitting back, and the corporate money is sitting back, and they're not going to help. And we, the people, inherit the earth, and the dead rise first. Well, this is such a disaster that I would say that even warrants closing the election. Closing the election. But then in all reality, we don't have a sitting president. We have a man who has dementia, like a grandfather that we want to take care of, right? Who stole from the whole family, like a Jacob. Is he our Jacob? Stealing from his own brother, stealing from his own family, stealing from Laban, diminishing his crops, diminishing his sheepfold to the worst, so that he walks away with the unblemished. Isn't that disgusting? Isn't that the most disgusting thing you ever heard of? Between a bright star and a morning star. That didn't happen. That cannot happen any longer. That's what's wrong. It's a Jezebel spirit upon everybody. And so the dragon must take back that which he covets, America. And it's his millennial reign as the Christ. And it's a revelation. 11:15. The Lord and of his Christ. And so what your expectations are beyond that are delusions of grandeur, of maybe of righteousness. I don't think anybody really quite grabs that. No. Whenever you accuse or condemn another, and you can hear it in me, it's from the bright star. It's his purpose, isn't it? These are his chains, and these are his vines. And it's by book, it's by hook, and it's by crook. Can you see the shepherd's crook is a J? Of course it is. Historically, we're growing, but history wasn't his story. And so the mystery is just this story right now that needs to unfold. It needs to unfold before our very eyes so that we can help people, so we can become families again and farms and restore craftsmanship. There are no good there are no good technical crafts anymore because they're so governed by the inspection process and fines and warranties and all these permits and all the debris field from in the lake over there. All of that can build a new community. All of it can be removed and recycled, regenerated for our purposes. It could lift jobs, lift families, and it has to shut down the corporate though. You have to shut you have to put up the wall, Mr. President, to the corporate and allow the American hand to become a craftsman again. And we can reclaim all of our old structures and take all of that uh, aluminum I-beam bullshit, service station bullshit, uh, fly-by-night store bullshit buildings that blow away in the wind, and really build as we built before, with security in mind. And of course, the taxation upon taxation upon taxation through land and ownership is just slavery and usury. You buy land, you own that land. Pay tax on it once because you purchased it. That's their benefit. They better be good with that money because there ain't more unless you buy more land. And as a landowner, you have every right to vote on all things of the municipalities on up to the state, where the state requests of the feds. The state requests of the feds because the feds have to hold them. Mineral resources, the actual, well, we don't want to lose our ability to be modern in society. So manufacturing plants are absolutely necessary, but not when you've got employees locked into them and a hurricane blows half of them away. And or the product itself happens to be an animal when we have services underground, ways and means to put these factories in the ground and even change the way we build buildings accordingly to each environmental aspect instead of being so cookie cutter, instead of being so China, cheaper. To think we've gone so far from the steel industry when things were so blackened and people suffered like I do from lung problems. Now you could say, well, you're a smoker and you were really heavy. Yeah, I was on a spiritual quest, that's for sure. Because with every smoke offering I offered up, I was given such great insights and in my own destructive power to reach the destroyer, who I consider my king, as I consider myself part of the locust family. I always have, that face is a man, the hair is a woman, teeth is a lion, my teeth rotted out, a breastplate of iron, in declaration. Stinging tail doesn't really cause death, but it causes grievous wounds, so I speak about that. Those are the things that are always hidden. And given 5 months and tormenting men who have not the seal of the living God. And you look at portrayals of the people who push those depths of Satan. I'm not talking about the depths of Satan. I'm talking about the depths of Christ. But people like Jonathan Clegg, who teach the depths of Satan, and it seems so similar, it's not. It's the same doctrines. It's steeped in its mysticisms, which is Cabal. Cabal is Kabbalah. Would it be any different than Biden or any other administration of Obama? That we would find it hidden as an act, truly as an act, and not a real thing. Never ever having received from Michael in such a capacity as light. How disgusting. It was a manic episode of a drug addict who was in trouble, who spent a lot of money, who lived a high life. Sorry, I'm firing off. I have to push on my hip a little bit. It's like a knife. Yeah, I say, oh, there you go. You need to stop talking about something. Yeah, that's what this is all about. My voodoo doll that God sticks me every time I say something wrong. Is it like the Google, the YouTube monitor or something? It's a YouTube monitor. Big needle. I don't mean to be so exhausted. No, I have so many tasks in my head to do. So, like, with Jeff, the most important thing that he could do for me is to make sure that the environment is clean. And he's so bad about vacuuming. And yet he bought me the most incredible Hoover or whatever. I guess it's outright one of my favorite types. And it works very well, but I couldn't do a room right now if I wanted to. I would be in respiratory distress and I would be gasping for air to the point where I'd be bent over and then probably vomiting if I ever pushed myself that far. Tasks like stepping into the bathroom, sitting on the toilet, finishing, getting up, washing, and coming out, respiratory distress for at least about a minute or two till I catch my breath. It's rapid breathing. The heart rate goes way high, probably heart rate goes way in the 120s, and which is it pounds my chest. I have a strong heart. I hope you all know that. The vena cava thing, now that's part of the heart, but it was a constriction, so that's why I was demanding a stent. And if they had, they probably would have killed me because I told you that I'm experiencing hemorrhaging now. It's very easy to see the leukemia in my hands. Spots. It used to be worse. The leukemia that shows up. And I bought special gloves, but I forgot to order them. I bought them, but I didn't order them. I found them on Amazon, and they're UV protectant gloves, but they cut the fingers off here, and it catches the thumb, and it comes in and covers the wrist, and it's UV protective. It says choose your color, choose your skin color. Of course, I chose black. I thought that's cool. I get black sleeves because it'll go with my winter clothing, and yeah, I don't want to wear white. They get all dirty. I don't want to. I'm not white. I am now. I'm pink. As pink. They had pink there too. So, but it was still on the Amazon checkout. So I was expecting them in the mail. I thought I ordered them, but it didn't click. So then when I was online today, I ordered some more stuff. Such a shopper. These are all the joys that I've been wanting to pour forth upon for years and never given the true budget beyond the guilt to be able to manage. Basically, because I never had a card that connect to the computer that connects to their processing to check out. So if you just got cash in hand, you can't use the computer. And so I'm limited to stores that are here, and it's just junk. I tell you, it's junk. There's no craftsman. Even looking at the work that I've ever had done, like giving my truck away so that those guys can come in and install gas lines and stuff because the city broke my gas lines, and I went a year without gas So finally they came in, and this unit here has never been attached to the wall again because the guy insisted that the handle on-off valve has to be on the inside of the machine, which he didn't calibrate. So now it's on the very inside edge of how it snaps together. So you can't put it back together. It's all tightened and it's all to length. And it's so tight, it would have to be cut again up here and replumbed. So that's a whole nother couple $100 by a plumber, and they do such terrible work. And it's always shoddy work. Yeah, I could blame cultural, but no, it's not. It's all America's like this. They just jiggery. So I bring in a plumber, licensed plumber, to work on my water heater that had a leak under Jeff's bathroom, and the water was pouring, so we had to shut down the water. He came and looked, and he proposed that we have to go in one way to the bathroom. So we started going in that way, and then finally we did. But then he still had to work on this way, and he crawled under. He got it all welded together or whatever, fixed a new pipe. But he pulled the water heater away from the wall and then did the install. So now the cabinet can't go back onto the water heater. So for years we've been, I look over, I see a water heater. I go in that room, I see a water heater next to the washer and dryer, of course, and it's right behind the door. When there was a cabinet built specifically that could open and close, and you can get to it. It was very nice and it was very clean, and it kept it contained. But now it just looks like a junk room. Not really, but it does because it's peeling and it's leaking. So these are the frustrating things about the house, but the joy part is to put things together. And I've neglected this room, but I painted every room in the house. And I did all my power to make sure that every room was appropriately placed in living standards, you know. And now I get to put curtains in the house, and that was fun and exciting, but not to Jeff because he had to do it. It was a chore, and that just bothers me, you know. It was a chore. No excitement about it at all. Maybe he's accepting this differently than I am. Maybe being alone is his nightmare, not mine. But Spirit has a way. Spirit has an avenue of approach that I've been offering for a long time. And all I have to do is wait for Spirit to move me. And although it came so close to when I was going to go and see Robbie Anson, close enough to put me homeless, but then I would have been struck with cancer, would have been struck down completely. So that would have been listening to the Spirit. And I even offered all my 7 years of recordings prior to this 7 years. So that'd be 14 years of recordings for Jonathan to dig through to create his little masterpieces. But he's got it pretty much down. He's got he's the one that brought forth the A to Z L, the Azazel. Yeah. I took witness. I took a photograph of a screen capture of it. I published it. I distributed it a little bit. It kind of went around a little bit, but then it was over. It was fun. But it's true. It's right in your face. There's no denying it. And then all the troubles that came with that whole regime of his jamboree and sharing and being in control and the camis and the tammies and the donations and then this theft of a Mustang of all things. Yeah. To which he clearly can account for, I guess. I think so. I don't care. That's why I don't watch it anymore. This is all in the past. This is all lingering stuff that never had an answer for me. That bothers me, you know. I don't know if you know that. It bothers me not to have an answer to something. And as perplexing as it is when you're dealing with other people, if you're able to be around them, you pick up their body language. You can hear whether or not they're lying to you in your face. But on video, things can be manipulated. They make backdrops, they make all kinds of special appearances, ideas. They clip and they bark, and well, that's what they do. To sell God or sell the spirit in order to achieve. Basically, it's to sell something. Nobody does anything for free. And I know that my money's so limited, it's only going to be like $600 a month. But it doesn't matter to me because I can't take it with me. So for the rest of my life, I could get $600 a month. That's it. And then I have to go to work, and I can work up to a certain amount before it affects the Social Security. And you would want to be off Social Security if you could work full time, but to be an able-bodied person, to be able to have all that spending power. But for what purpose? Well, you have to go out and purchase your joy, each and every one of us at this point. Unless, of course, you're in the mindset that you're the bride. And that's kind of ridiculous if you're a man, because men cannot be brides. I assure you, it's a ridiculous notion. Yeah, you have to get over that. It's something special for the vessel that can support. And so the bride is more than just a woman, of course. It could be a church, it could be a family unit, it could be the whole matriarchal system as we know it. But still, a man can't be a bride. Don't kid yourself. How foolish. Marriage is between a man and a woman. It's the most important doctrine we'll ever keep because we honor our mother and our father. We honor our mother and our father. We bring prayer back to school, and it does not mean Islam. No, Islam is going to have to go home. Islam is going to have to go to rest. Rest in peace, Islam. Yeah, you go home. And we're going to bring the commandments back to the courtroom. We are. And it's going to be the same kind of scrutiny on those servants as any would be, because they're the most corrupt, whether it be CPS or any other little organization within them that one rubs the shoulder or the hand of the other at the cost of the child and the family unit. When it needs to be repaired from the basic premise of where it went wrong. Yeah. So I think each community will grow wiser and wiser as the days grow longer and longer. Yeah, and our numbers grow greater and greater. And we realize in restoration that everything is provided for everyone. Yeah, the greatest stimulation is the joy, craftsmanship, the perfection, the offerings, the nurturing. Yeah, I think that's important to know. I mean, in numerology, we're coming into completion. Craftsmanship is in completion in that motion of humanitarianism, but it's not right now, is it? So the eight in time as power and control, which is political, as it is pharisaical, as it is hypocritical, that it's they who have to take this crossing that they're so fearful of. They're the cross guard at the school for the very first day, and they can't control the traffic. And so they let it flow. No, you've got to step up. You're the servant at the crossing guard. And you take your arm of authority which is an army in its own right, and it places itself to stop that, this trafficking. Can you see how easy that is? Can you see how we are without leadership right now? And that the whole thing needs to be shut down, the election? All these wonderful, I would imagine, productive people whose arms and legs are sticking out of the ground, who are rotting away because they can't be counted. And the news just wants to spew that there's only a few hundred or whatever. And when in reality, we're being disconnected from the whole event. Yeah, based on an election that's going to be rigged, that already is being rigged. Ballots being stolen, stuffed into culverts, the sickness. And these would be the people that are caring for me, and there's no one to be seen. And they tried to, I had an interview with the pharmacist finally, and they asked about the ER, and I was very adamant that I'm very pissed at them right now, that they treat people the way they do. But um, no, I won't be going there. If I'm in that kind of distress, I'm going to let it go, honey. Yeah, spontaneous death syndrome is one of the symptoms that you have under that drug. And she agreed. I said, we will make an adjustment to that for the sake of the patient and clarify what it means. It's sudden end of life symptoms. That's it. You can help these people. Now, sure, there are some that will die immediately, and there's no one there to help them because the drug interaction was all false on their bodies. There's a reason, and in this case, I know the reason, which is the issue, and I haven't gotten to express it. Well, I did with her on the, I did get to talk to her on the phone. And at first I was a little angry. It's like, I don't like to talk to people on the phone because I don't get the body language. And see, when you talk about a new modality, she'd shut her down. And I could tell she was a little flustered, flubbered. She had never thought about such a thing. Well, I hope she wakes up before Biden or Kamala gets her little vote. Because that's just pure sickness. You're a professional and you're very highly intelligent, and yet you're locked into the system that is threatening your own job if you don't do the right thing and if you don't say the right thing and if you don't know the right thing. And I have her literature, and she said, I don't have anything in my literature that says that. But the internet says otherwise. And I know you have access to it outside of your job. This is the extracurricular activities for your advancement of knowledge. You can't rely on the manufacturer to be your educator. You can't rely on the product maker to be your educator. No, what are they going to tell you? Well, they have to be honest, of course, but they're not going to be truly honest. And the system itself is designed to remove the testimony of the individual under Hippocratic premises. You know that HIPAA regulations that you can't talk about your patients. No, you don't talk about your patients. No, you don't. But you can relay experiences with other patients from the past that you know are gone, and their testimonies were important. You could say, I had a patient that was similar to your case, and his next thing that he faced was this, and it was very difficult for him. And it would be nice to hear those sort of things so that it just doesn't come on you like it does. And then they say, how do you feel? Hi, how are you doing today? Isn't that nice? I have to lie. So you have to lie to your reception every time. "Ah, I'm fine." I go off on tangents and thought I was just looking at the kitty and I was going, ah. And I was thinking about the ceiling fan that's covered in dust. All my ceiling fans are covered in dust. And the cats run through the house. It's a dust bath. And I wish Jeff knew that as he's smoking his life away. And I was too, because we hated one another. We hated what we did to one another, I'm sure, in some ways. He must hate who he is in his own capacity without blaming me. But then, in the same respect, how can you not blame me for that? Because I did everything. I always did everything. So I got my space clock hung up in the living room. It's very pretty, but I can't see it at night. It can only be seen at night in the day. It'd be nice to have a clock in the middle of the night so I know what time I'm being disrupted. But what difference does it make? I said that tonight. I don't care if it's 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. If I gotta poo, I gotta poo, you know? If you gotta go, you gotta go. Run, run, faster. So I got that hung up, but I didn't hang it up. Jeffrey hung it up. So it's been in the house for 2 or 3 days. I'm all excited about it. Made this purchase for this clock, and it's a space clock, it's geodesic. And I both thought I posted a link to it to show you all from eBay. And the thing is that it's deception, the picture versus the size versus, and I didn't really take measurement. It's the size of a regular record, so it's not very big, but it's so well done with the glass and the pictures behind the glass. Where I thought it was three-dimensional, which I'm glad it was not because, but I did think it was going to be off the wall three-dimensional. It's off the wall floating, but it's just a disc of glass with the painting behind it and with a very, very quiet LED second face, which moves very quickly. I'm very shocked that seconds go by so quickly on such a clock. But I checked it and it's keeping time. It's not running fast. It's just running perfect. They don't do crystals anymore. So there's no steps. So it's not stepped out. But it will equal 60 seconds in a minute. So it's very pretty. I'll have to show it on another camera. And these are my joys. These are the things that lift me. I'm talking a long time. And then, of course, hanging the curtains. So I ordered some oats for the cats. Start some pots of oats so that they can start chewing on some oats for the winter. And I bought a harness for the red cat, Tobin, and because he's got to start being acclimated to taking trips. Yeah, he's going to have to start taking to the vehicle. So he's going to have a good harness. And Mimo, he's our little special needs child. He never grew. He's the size of a kitten. He could be about this big. It's hard to tell when you see him on camera, but he's a mini and he's getting fatty, so he's a fatty mini. Eventually he'll look like a cat, but always a small little fatty cat. Little little pear-shaped cat. So he gets a lot of exercise with the other one. But we can already tell he's kind of touched. He's touched. So I think he's going to probably stick around me as long as possible and always be a homebound kind of child. That may be the answer itself, that Jeff find his freedom by hitting the road and I just stay here and recover and take over the house. But by then, that $600 a month can just pay for the food that I and then put away for taxes or whatever and then die. And then Jeff just reclaimed the house and sell it. By then I'd probably find a way to get all this stuff done, like the bathroom's fixed. My bathroom floor is spongy, so it leaks from my shower into the floor. So eventually my toilet will fall through with me sitting on it, right through the hardwood floors. But it's got layered hardwood floor. It probably has linoleum. That's the way this man was. And then on top of that is a cement board, and it's screwed in. And then on top of that is tile. So it's not going to fall through until it finally does, but it is spongy. So the underboards are the first to go. And those would be 2x4s. So it's probably been going on for a long time. Hmm. I wish I could fix that sort of thing. I used to be able to do that. Yeah, at the Cosmati farm, I fixed her bathroom. Did the whole thing, put in new toilet, put in all new tile and walls, and it was all really nice. I'm getting congested because I haven't. I've been having to take Mucilex, as a regimen, which is 3 times a day. But I've been up since midnight. Well, when was I? I guess I first got up at around 1:30 to go to the bathroom, but then I've been up since then. And then it was around quarter to four. 4:44 when I turned this on. But it was about 4 o'clock when I finally got out of bed. So out of my chair. Yeah, so the joys are there. Oh, I'm sorry, I went over an hour. I wonder if that records two or one. Who knows? I should hope. Still recording. So, what else did I order today? Oh, I get my gloves. See, these are joy things. Get my gloves, and I got a harness for COVID to get him used to his trips, whatever might come. Yeah. So I didn't really say anything about the numerology. Maybe that means that I get to come back later. And when I'm showing the room, the rooms are much darker these are blackout curtains, but they're very pretty. His bedroom got it, and then the dining room, the living room. So it's for purposes of warming the house this year. I'm going to be in the house, not usually I'm in this room in front of this heater, but I'm going to be in the house, mostly. But we got to get the dust up, and I can't do the activities of hanging each curtain, so it took days before Jeff finally got to getting it all done. And it was like, oh, I've been so excited. I would have been doing it right then every evening. But he would come and he puts his headphones on and he watches videos of sing, 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 ping, 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 whatever they're shooting as they go through their mazes and their journeys of whatever online gaming. And that's it, what he turns to. And sometimes I have to yell to get his attention. It scares him and it scares me, but because it's 5 minutes. It's like you couldn't even give me 5 minutes. You're helping me do something. I turn my back and you're pinging it with the headphones. So you can't hear me. Oh, oh, those were bad days. I know. I don't want those days. They're not worth it. I'd rather be able to do these things for myself. And yet he then steps up and does things. And that's the frustrating thing because it's a chore, isn't it? And he doesn't really deserve to be put into that position if there's nothing there for him. So yesterday he went out to buy some things for the house. He was supposed to get a switch for the lamp, and he was supposed to get some Gorilla foam for the floorboard because there's a big gap in the front with my mouse hole, and we need to build a little fake mouse door. And I would be so creative to do that. And no, he came back with a monitor for his computer. He got distracted. And then he bought a cat toy, and then he got distracted about the grass. He's claiming he couldn't find any grains, and well, that's just not true. You can buy grains by the pound at the feed store. So I ordered the grains for the oats for the cats. Specific cat packaging. Yeah. It's just oats. You can just go buy oats and do that. So sprinkle them under the lamp in his room because he's got the grow light going. They'll be growing real fast, and then the cats will be happy. and healthier for being able to take in the greens. Because they pretty much decimated all my houseplants. Yeah, they're pretty much decimated. You can't have a zygo cactus with a cat. It doesn't work. Once they bite into it, and it tastes like probably apple, makes them stop. And the plant just takes on a disease from their mouth. It's like the poison from a cat's mouth goes right into the plant. And within 24 hours, the zygocalcus turns into a mush, just wilts out and dies. Never seen anything like it. Like, don't let the cat bite you. Okay, so today with the 20, we know the 9 stands with the 2. It's balance. Everything's about balance, and so it's about equality. And I praise Jeff. I praise Jeff for all he's done. But for what he's about to do in the future, well, that's not for me to praise. So that's the important part. And I want my future back so that I can step up and, yeah, I'd like to work for a manufacturer. I'd like to be able to use my craftsman ability again, as I did in the past. And yeah, it's stimulating, it's rewarding, it allows you to have a home that's comfortable, it allows you to put into your own home those comforts. And that's the secret to perdition. Perdition, the son of perdition is the comforter, the Manasseh, because sin is the comforter of all men, and always has been. And how sinful we've all been. Okay, I'll go away now and have a good balanced day.